Hey, good morning, church. So thankful to be able to come and spend a couple minutes with you this morning talking about Romans 9. Romans 9 comes at an incredible point in this book because we've just come off of a wonderful realities of chapter 8. I love what Bob said. Just sit and think and marinate over all the promises that have come from this. There's no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. What can separate us from the love of Christ? Nothing can separate us from the love of Christ. And then I think a lot of times, if we're being honest, we have that little voice, Satan, trying to throw a chink in God's armor. If there's nothing that can separate you from the love of Christ, then why are you separated? We have to realize that being separated from God relationally is not the same as being separated from His love. There's nothing that can separate us from the love of God. God loves us regardless of the choices that we make. He's loved us since before time began, and He'll love us even afterwards, because that's who He is. He loves perfectly. We have, on the other hand, a very flawed view of love. We need to take the view of love like Paul takes. And Paul starts off this chapter by saying he'd be willing to lay down his very salvation if it meant that people would choose God. The Jews would come to faith. Now, he knows that this is not a reality. He knows you can't force people to love God because God didn't force people to love God. But that's the type of love we're supposed to have. This type of love Jesus said was the greatest type of love. No greater love has man than this, and he who would lay down his life for his friends. That's exactly how God is. I think Ravi Zacharias put it the best I've ever heard it. He said it this way. He said, if I choose to love somebody and they choose not to love me back, I hurt, because I've lost something. God chooses to love me, and I choose not to love Him back. God also hurts. And not because He's lost something, but because I've lost something. See, God knows that the greatest thing for me to do is to love Him. He gives us Jesus, the law, the covenant with Abraham, saving Noah and his family, the tree in the middle of the garden with the one provision: do not touch. Why? So to show us how much He loves us. These are not things to blame Him with, to throw back into His face. These are things to cherish and just be so grateful for. So a couple of things I would encourage you to think of as you read through this chapter. First and foremost, how has God shown His love for you? How has God shown His love for you? What are the stories from your past, your salvation, your upbringing? How has God shown His love for you? And the second thing I would ask you guys to think about is, how have you shown your love for Him? By how you love others. Who would you be willing to give it all up for if it guaranteed that they would get in? You see, Jesus, that's the type of love He had. Jesus was willing to give it all up so that we could have a chance at heaven. For God so loved the world. No greater love has anyone than this, and there is nothing that can separate us from the love of Jesus Christ. What a blessing and honor it is to be loved by a King of Kings and Lord of Lords. I pray you take comfort in this and have a blessed day.